Now, the New York Times, because it has nothing else to write about, is naming AOC as a potential 2028 presidential contender. The Democrat movement starting to look like a poor attempt to mimic the Tea Party, but with more socialism, no unified message to present to America. Is this really the left's comeback plan?
Here to discuss is former National Republican Senatorial Committee Executive Director and COIN CEO and founder Rob Collins. Rob, thanks for being with us today. It's pretty fascinating to watch the vacuum in the Democratic Party and who's trying to step into that vacuum. I give AOC and Bernie Sanders credit. They're the only organized people around, apparently, and they're doing it. But the question is it going to actually move the needle for Democrats, or is it just speaking to the far left wing of the party that everybody knows kind of has the energy in that party already?
Yeah, it's a real challenge. I mean, you look at the video, it looks like, tens of people showed up to these rallies, and I don't see how that's a comeback for them, which is far Northeast liberals chanting about more social issues. The Democratic Party's identification with men and women's bathrooms and sports is not the problem with the Democratic Party. Their politics are bad, their policies are terrible, and the fundamentals of the party are just broken. And when you look at the fact that they've lost the House, the Senate, the presidency, the Supreme Court, and a majority of governorships across this country, you have to ask your Democratic friends, what are you thinking? What's the plan to rebuild? And AOC and Bernie Sanders are not the ticket.
Rob, the only thing I could think of is the only way the Democrats can crawl out of this deep, dark hole that they've fallen into is to stand back and watch or wait for Republicans to possibly fail and fall in. But the message is that the American people, working men and women, would have to fail and fall in with them. And that would really be kind of on brand for the Democrats. Is the only way they can succeed is by standing atop the suffering of the American people, so they can that's how they rally and rise and gain power, is by standing atop the suffering of others.
Well, I mean, if you look at the Biden administration, they ignored inflation.
Right.
They ignored immigration as people were clamoring for. They had terrible energy policy, raising prices on everybody. And their response was, well, the stock market's fine, so we should be in good shape. And it is that kind of tone deafness to where the American people are, the middle class. High school educated folks are struggling across the country, and, they're white, elite, college educated folks may be doing fine, but there's not enough of them, and it doesn't appeal. And this new Democratic Party that's so dominated by these elites in D.C. and the Acela corridor is so foreign to me from when I came to D.C., but that's kind of where they are now. And so having a New York City and a Vermont elite raise their hands and say, we know the path forward, as a Republican, we love it. It's super fun to watch, but it's not a path forward for the Democratic Party.
So how about this? I mean, AOC and Bernie Sanders have gotten out of the gate first. And again, they've kind of got built-in constituencies, so they're ready to do it. Do you see, or do you get a sense that some of the more moderate voices in the Democratic Party, maybe they're kind of not out there yet, but they're starting to sort of build the coalition and the case to eventually crowd AOC and Bernie Sanders out of the way? Is that something you're looking for?
Yeah, I mean, after every, big loss in an election, both parties do it. The wings say we weren't enough, we weren't liberal enough, we weren't conservative enough, and the moderates, slowly have to kind of rebuild. I don't know if this Democratic Party can come back as fast as they need to with regards to the midterms or even the next presidential, because their message is so misaligned with mainstream America. They're so dominated by their elites and their social issues that it's going to be tough for them to reorganize around economic populism, which is where the country is right now.
Well, they just gave themselves away that the greatest existential threat was climate change. But now they're essentially encouraging people to firebomb Teslas and potentially putting families at risk. Rob, final word.
It's always so amazing to me that the first, thing Democrats think to when you don't agree with them is to destroy, to burn, to get violent. And if you look at the protests that we've seen in this country the last 5-10 years, the attempts on the president's life, Steve Scalise, there is a fundamental problem with the elites that their initial step is to advocate for violence.
Yeah, destructive to the core. Rob Collins, really good analysis. Thanks for being with us today.
Great to see you, Rob.
See ya.
Still ahead, Columbia professor